connecting with your teens. Okay, I want to introduce you to my friend, Dave. He is a very confident dad. Then there's Christie, kind of a messed up, but trying very hard mom.
Okay, let's get this straight. If I'm confident, it's only because my 4 kids have gone through the teen years and I'm all done.
Okay, and I'm probably messed up because I am right in the middle of it, like smack dab in the middle.
But I likely wouldn't be as confident if I knew everything that had gone on.
Okay, well, I'm telling you what, I'm so glad my mom didn't know everything that I did as a teenager.
Come on. But deep down, you want to know what's going on as a parent. I know.
Sort of, kind of, yeah.
We all do. I mean, like, I found out things later that kind of, like, you know.
Like what?
Well, my kids would sneak out at night.
Oh my goodness, we all snuck out at night.
One time I went downstairs, you know, after the curfew, and I thought my daughter just checked she was sleeping, and, you know, she's doing, oh, what, Dad, what do you want? And found out later there was one guy under the bed, one guy in the closet.
Oh my goodness, did you go absolutely ballistic?
I didn't know until she was out of the house. What can I do then?
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's downright frightening. And you know what? We've also got those, both of us, calls from the principal at school.
Calls from the principal, kids kicked out of school, both of us.
And isn't it interesting? It was both our firstborns. And you know what? If I go back to that day when I held my firstborn, I was so excited about parenting a teenager. Like I thought, oh, those are gonna be the good years. I mean, we're gonna be laughing crazy together as a family. And if I was honest with you, the last year and a half has not been all that I expected it to be.
And you know, even for our side, I remember the same feelings, you know. I'm gonna talk with my kids, play sports with my kids. It's gonna be awesome because they're gonna share my values and they grow up to be these great, solid people.
Your best friends.
Yeah, you know, it wasn't always that way in the teen years. I had some concerns. As a matter of fact, one time, I asked Donna Lynn, when the oldest two were 10 and 11, I said, do you think if Jody and Brock were in trouble, if they'd come to me for help? Because remember, I'm this youth expert, right? And I'm gonna help everybody. She said, I don't think so.
Ooh, that had to have hurt.
It did.
But you know what? That is a fabulous question. You ask your spouse, are we the type of moms and dads that our teens would come to if they felt like they were confused?
See, I made a lot of mistakes as a dad with my teenagers, no doubt. But you know what the beautiful thing is? There is always room to recover. And we can help you with that. This show is all about connecting with your teens and how you can connect with them in a way that they're gonna love it for a long time. You will really appreciate this show. Stay with us. You're working hard trying to connect with your teenager. You say something to them and you get the rolling of the eyes.
Oh.
How do you feel? Or what's worse, you get the silent treatment, maybe the one-word grunt, or just plain the attitude. Well, if you're like me, you're about ready to throttle them. But don't stop there, because we're not done with you.
Don't give up. We've got a great lady with us who has not given up. She's been working with teens for over 2 decades. In fact, she's training people now to work with teens on the streets. Welcome, Iona Snair. Iona, we know as moms, it starts with all of a sudden you can't kiss them goodbye in front of their friends. And the next thing you know, it's, Mom, it's none of your business.
Yeah.
I mean, how do we deal with that teenager wanting to push away from us so bad, but they push hard?
Oh, and it feels so much like they're pushing against you, like they don't want to be with you anymore. And all of that's tied in there. I remember the very first time I walked into my boys' bedroom and they were playing, and I just stood and watched them, and one of the boys looked up and said, "Yes, Mummy?" with this sort of dismissive sort of tone of voice.
Like,
and I thought,
what are you here for?
They don't need me anymore. And we go through that a number of times, but when we hit adolescence, oh, it starts happening fast and furious.
Fast and furious. You know, I call that healthy rebellion. I mean, it's not unusual for kids to want to have their rights to say what they want to say, make their own choices, as opposed to unhealthy rebellion. You see, in one, there's this gradual transfer of responsibility as opposed to delayed or restrained transfer of responsibility. One sense, parents are flexible. Another sense, parents are controlling. So what happens with the controlling side, kids fight, they outburst, and it gets ugly. Instead of open communication discussion, you now have rebellion, you now have no communication, a lot of discord. Instead of positive relationships, you now have fractured relationships, the difference between healthy and positive.
Okay, but don't you think that control, that I know doesn't get the results you want, it comes out of the fear that you're totally losing control because they are just doing their own thing and going their own way?
Well, think about the analogy of when a child is in a room of their own and then they are transferring across the hall to another room. That's what adolescence is. It's that hallway time between the two rooms, the room of childhood and the room of adulthood. And we're standing in that room of childhood with them, and they're walking out the door, or sometimes kicking a hole in the wall and going through the hole.
And you're not
rock
ready.
is flying, let me tell you.
Gyp rock's flying, and you're going, but I'm still over here.
Yes.
And they're going out to the hallway because they're supposed to. Adolescents are supposed to separate from their parents and become distinct individuals. They're supposed to do that. And then they're stuck in the hallway for 2, 3, 4 years. How fun is that?
Yeah, but it's interesting because
that is
parents
such a picture.
parents think they're not ready for the hallway. You
Yeah.
got to stay in this room where you're safe and
Yes,
control you
because
from
I
the big
know
bad
the
world.
room. I understand the room.
But think about the kid, right? Think about the adolescents. Maybe the parent is feeling uncomfortable. How do you think the adolescent feels
Yes.
living in a hallway?
Yeah.
My husband lived in a hallway for a year when he was living with a group of guys in this
You're
big
kidding.
house. His bed was in the hallway. And he said it was really difficult because you're not really anywhere at all. And he became really irritable because of it. And everybody else was getting irritated at him because he was in the way and wasn't being where he should be. I think that's what we have to remember is our adolescents are not feeling good about where they are when they're living in that really rough period.
That is an incredible picture. I mean, as a mom, to put myself into, because I know what I fall into, and you're the one who always tells me, Christy, stop personalizing it. It feels like it's all about me.
Yeah.
It feels like it's, I don't want to be in your room.
Yeah.
And it's so hard to be mature.
Well, and if we start to base our feelings of self-worth on how our child is treating us or how they're acting during that time period, we're going to become disappointed, and that disappointment often turns to resentment.
Okay. At some point, though, we can feel them pulling
Yeah.
away. What's your first thought? What do you do?
I'm panicking.
You know what is interesting is I used to live in a climate that had a lot of winter driving conditions. And as soon as you started hitting a bit of ice and the car started going sideways, veering to the side, first thing you want to do is overcorrect.
Yes.
Right? That's just natural. You panic, so you overcorrect. I think we do that as parents too. First thing we want to do is the kids pushing against us. We want to just overcorrect
I'm telling my
this thing.
kids.
Jam on the brakes
Jam
and then
on the
everything
brakes.
goes wild.
And everything does go wild. When that happens, usually an accident is not far off.
That is so true. That's what I'm telling my kids. Honey, I'm just hitting black ice.
And you know what? Parents, if it's your first teenager, you know exactly what we're talking about. You want to jam on the brakes because it's kind of scary in this icy hallway. Understand that rules without a relationship will equal that rebellion. You got to stay connected. We're going to talk to you more about how to do that. Stay with us.